it is important you identify who are going to be your supporters, right? Surround yourself by people that actually put you up and not down.
Yeah.
You will find
they really
in your
cheer
life,
for you when you win.
cheer for you and push you right in the right way, not patronize you, not diminish you, but in the right way, right? In the right way. You need to find those people that actually you can be honest, you can be true, and there are people that actually can help you, right? Thanks God, there are many people that actually can help you, and I think this is an important point.
Thank you so much for joining another edition of The Never-Ending Climb for a Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by Heliana, and she is a supply chain leader, chemical engineer, factory leader, business leader, and she's passionate about trying new things, about learning, about exploring and coaching, and loves cooking and business. So she shares this passion that I have too around unlocking potential. So Heliana, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.
When we were thinking about some of the potential that we really want to see unlocked, there are so many emerging leaders and even sometimes senior leaders who sometimes we need to help create the space for them. And especially women in supply chain can really use a boost. What is it that you find that you apply your passion to helping bring out the best and unlock potential in these leaders?
Yeah. So, Sean, I have the pleasure to mentor women all over the world in my job. And I think after many years that I have been doing that, my conclusion is that I think we have two different factors that actually stop us. One of them is more external, which is the bias that we all have, right? I think which is the prejudice sometimes of the families, of the society. There is a lot going on in many societies that is still really difficult for the women. The women suffer much more than the men, and there is lots of things happening which is external, right, to the environment, which we also need to deal with. At least we do our part. But there is a lot also that are internal, right? There are a lot of women that actually, they could progress more, they could take the higher job, and they end up believing that they cannot do it. They end up believing that they need to do one more step before the big step. And that's something that it's internal, because nobody told them they can't, nobody told them that it's not possible. The problem is that there is a tendency that we have, and I think we have read that in many, many articles, that when the woman sees a CV, she's going to check if she checks all the different points instead of looking at, generally I can do. I may be able to do 70%, not 100%, but I'm going to try because I'm also going to learn. I see that in real life, right? Women not moving as fast because also they believe that they cannot go as fast as probably they are. And they are much more powerful than they believe.
The way you said that is so important. They are much more powerful than they believe. Now, when we unpack that, it comes from a place of humility and a place of feeling worthy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, right? It does from that. It does from trying and not maybe to be confrontational, right? Or maybe seen as too ambitious, which usually is not something that a woman can be. So there are lots of things that play on this. But there is, in many of them, it's something that is on the mind of the woman. But even when they talk to others, or even they talk to their family or their bosses, they are much more supportive, right? So I think what we need is to dare to do that. Because if we don't fight for what we want, who is going to fight for us, right? Nobody's going to fight for us. You need really to fight for yourself.
So true.
I know that it's not easy, but there are people there that actually can help you.
What I love that you emphasized is that sense of you are more powerful than you believe, and that there is more within your control than sometimes, I'll just say some, would like you to believe. So when I know before we pressed record, we were both talking about how there are those in our teams and our lives that we're encouraging. For me, I have a lot of amazing women leaders in our team. I have a daughter and my wife. We want all of them to be the most amazing people that they can be. And sometimes there's this sense of playing small that isn't necessarily intentional. It just comes from this sort of leftover, almost there accidentally, or there because there are things that are in the way. But in the hardest things in life, right? By doing those hard things, by overcoming those hard things, we become stronger. And those hard things become not as hard because we've dealt with harder things. And I know there's a lot of hard things there, but that unlocks or needs to directly challenge the belief that somehow there's something immovable or that there's something outside of your control, because there is a lot that is within your control that you can do to rearrange priorities, change how you spend time, change the beliefs that are right now holding you back.
Yeah. So I think there are a few things that one can do, right? So one of the things is it is important you identify who are going to be your supporters, right? Surround yourself by people that actually put you up and not down.
Yeah.
You will
And
find
they really
in
cheer
your
for you
life,
when you win.
cheer for you and push you right in the right way, not patronize you, not diminish you, but in the right way, right? In the right way.
Yeah.
You need to find those people that actually you can be honest, you can be true, and there are people that actually can help you, right? Thanks God, there are many people that actually can help you, and I think this is an important point. The other point is actually to be voiceful on your thoughts. So today, because of the day, the International Day of the Women, I was checking some notes, and there was one lady that she shared on the LinkedIn all the things that people already said to her that were diminishing her. And then her point was, and I was silent. I didn't say a word. I didn't speak up, right? And I was thinking about, I said, you know what? I spoke up. Many times I didn't, but in a point in time, I decided to speak up. I decided to say, no, this is not right, right? If you tell me like that, you don't understand the impacts that you have. And I think more of us do that. Men and women, we call out and we speak up and say, no, this is not okay, right? This is not okay.
Right.
This is not a good way to talk to me. This is not a good way to talk to her. Or this is not a good way to talk to him, by the way, right?
That's right.
We should speak up more, right? If it's bothering you, speak up, because I think if we don't challenge that, then the change may not come the way that we want.
You know, from that, I think about the old saying, we get what we tolerate. And when we
get what
take
we
a
tolerate,
stand and we do not tolerate the kind of disrespect, the kind of patronizing, the kind of talking down, the kind of, oh, that's a pink job or a blue job kind of old way of looking at it, then we start to create and reinforce what we're looking for. I love that because it is so important. And there's so many examples that we can point to of what good does not look like. And by creating the examples of what good does look like, we get to point to those things that we know we want to create. And we know that we want our kids and our mentees and the people that we're coaching and helping to bring up, we want them to experience. And we can help reinforce the examples of what good looks like.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you tolerate, I like your thinking of the tolerance, right? So we cannot be tolerant to racism. We cannot be tolerant with all of those things, right? We need to be against. We need to have a point of view, right? We need to really, make the point and not only be neutral. Neutral is not okay. Right? Neutral is not okay. Yeah, you're right.
And quietly saying nothing when something is not okay and it's happening is tolerating it. And I think this is one of those opportunities on the global stage in so many ways that becomes so much more important for us to set the good example and reinforce what good looks like and celebrate those people that we love and care about in our lives.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. We all need to do that for ourselves and for our kids and for the world. Huh? Very good.
Exactly. When we recognize and act to push and challenge and encourage those people that, I mean, candidly, I don't know that anybody's ever really ready for that next promotion. And if they think they are totally ready,
Yeah.
it probably fits under the category of the Dunning-Kruger effect. So that idea of being ready it's a fallacy. And there's so many people that hold themselves back because they feel like they're not ready or they feel like they don't check every single box. But
Yeah.
who is ever really ready? Who's ever really ready to be a parent? Who's ever really ready to lead a department, to start a business? Nobody's
Yeah.
ever
Right.
really ready. So what do you think
Yeah.
is reinforcing that belief? And how can we challenge the people that we love and care about to leave that behind and to stop letting that get in their way?
Yeah. So, Sean, I think there are two aspects probably from your question that comes to my mind. The first, especially on a career perspective, right? Traditionally, what I have seen is that the women is considering conciliatory, and I have been, to be honest, in my career, right? So
Yeah.
I have taken jobs that the company offered me that was a very good deal for the company, but not good for me. It was probably good for me personally, and that's why I also took it. But professionally, I could have demanded differently. I could have done different things that
Yeah.
would have added much more for my CV than I did. Because I accommodated. I said, oh, that's maybe good. Yeah, I know how to do that. Then it's going to be good. Yeah, but if you know 100% of what you're going to do, that's not going to add a lot for you, right? So if you're not looking for
Yeah.
additional experience, if you're not looking for something that actually you're going to learn, right? So you're going to give something to the company, but you're also going to learn. It's probably not a good move for you.
That's right.
So when somebody comes and says, "Oh, this is a perfect job because you know this, you know that," not sure. Maybe it's perfect for the company, but not perfect for you, right? So I think we need to have that courage to sometimes say, "No, fine, thank you so much," right? Do I have an option? And I had cases where even my bosses, offered me a promotion that actually didn't work for me, and I said, do I have an
That's
option to
right.
go or do I need to go? Right? So there's that. No, 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 no problem. No problem. Okay. So then I'm going to stay and I'm going to wait for the other one because that's the other one that I want. Right? So I think being brave enough
That's
to have
powerful, isn't
this.
it?
Yeah, that's powerful, right? Yeah. Yeah, I did some powerful stuff for all. But I think that having the clarity of what you want, right? And what you can and discuss that openly, that's important, Sean, right? Because people will come to you. And I also, the other part of the story is when I was in casting sections, and then some people say, oh, this person is perfect. I said, well, yeah, but it's perfect for the company, not for her, right? So let's try to help her career because we tend sometimes to help some people more on their career develop than others. And that's when you also, as a leader, also need to say, wait a minute, are we actually really incentivizing and having a career path and incentivizing, everybody that we can, or are we being a bit biased on some people that we actually have a bit more of connection or something like that?
The idea of who's really rooting for you, right? Who really celebrates when you win is such an important test. And it's really, really powerful for everybody to look at the people around them. And if you're working with or for or in a group with somebody and they're not actually really happy when somebody wins, that's not a healthy response. So that's not a
Yeah,
healthy
you're right.
dynamic. And so just recognizing
Mm.
that, calling it out, and then making a change. I know for my business, as an example, we spent a very long time in a set of partnerships that some of them worked and some of them didn't. But we kept
Yeah.
trying on the ones that didn't. But sometimes when you recognize that they're not actually saying great things to help you when you're not in the room,
Mm.
and that's a beautiful test, is do they say great things about you when you are not in the room? And do
Mm.
they really celebrate when you win? Those two things I would encourage everybody to hold up as a bar, as a measuring stick of whether or not somebody really supports you.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that as leaders, when we're looking at people in our teams and trying to evaluate whether or not something would be a good move for them, making sure that we're creating the conditions where lots of people can celebrate that move and that it's going to challenge them. It's going to put them into a position where they're not 100% ready, because that's how we grow. And that's
Yeah,
how
I
some
do.
of the most amazing things happen, isn't it?
Yeah, I am for sure. I'm a firm believer that you need to define your career. By the way, this is valid for men and women. It's just that in my
Yeah.
mentorship, when I have men and women, I have seen more women being a bit more shy than I see men.
Yeah.
Men are usually more aggressive and they believe they can do even things that I'm sure this is going to work for you, right? While women,
Yeah.
it's in general, unfortunately, it's the opposite. I think a good balance would be good for everybody, right? In that sense. But that's the reason why you need to surround yourself and find the right mentors, the right coach, the right people that actually can help in case you want to think if your thinking is right or if you are on the right path. And also as a leader, you need to watch out because we are so used to certain behaviors that we end up replicating them without thinking. And that's not cool.
Yeah.
Or just think,
The,
it's good for my team. I'm going to get this person and I'm incentivizing, but it's not good for her, right? So be a bit less selfish on this.
in that being selfish, I think that's a great bridge into how we talk to ourselves.
Mm.
And sometimes we might fool ourselves into thinking that we're being selfish, or that we're not ready, or that we're not good enough, or that whatever
Yeah.
excuse or belief might be getting in our way. But when we talk to ourselves in a way that we remind ourselves how we think about ourselves with our inside voice, that thought process is so powerful to unlock potential in ourselves and even in the way other people perceive and work with us. What have you learned, and how do you help people talk to themselves and think about themselves with their inside voice in healthier ways?
Yeah. So, Sean, every time I start a mentorship, I use a certain system that has been working. And of course, I keep adjusting. But one of the first things that I discuss with the person is what is their purpose, right? What motivates them? I think what is important, Sean, is this is a deep discussion. Sometimes I have like 2 or 3 sections of 45 minutes to really go deep.
Yeah.
What really is in there for you? What motivates you? What doesn't motivate you? What is in there? Why do you like this? Why you don't like this? Why this is important for you? Why is that? Because I think if you really understand what motivates you, then any job you take, you will learn what are the areas that are going to motivate you, what are the areas that actually are not going to motivate you, but you still need to do it. And even if you take
Yeah.
one job that you know that it's going to be completely not motivational to you, you need to find somebody else to take the energy from. Right? So I think
Yeah.
managing that in the right way helps a lot. Because at least when you enter in the job, in the position that you actually need to pass or where you want to go, you enter with your eyes wide open. You know exactly, where you
Yeah.
want to land, how you're going to land, how this is going to be done. And that helps a lot for you to learn about yourself and what actually you are perceiving or seeing or what you want to do. It's
It sure
cool.
does. It's super, super cool. That tying things back to purpose. And you said something really important. I wanted to emphasize that energy, right? Sometimes people think about
Yeah,
managing time, but managing energy is even more important. Because if you
it's
manage
even
all of your time
more.
and you carefully schedule all of the things that you maybe can do but are just draining or you hate doing them, then
Yeah.
that's a great indicator that you've somehow allowed or created or found yourself in a situation where you are doing things that they're not aligned with your purpose, they're not aligned with the things that you're really good at. And I've seen, and I'm imagining you've seen this too, of people accepting a role and saying, yeah, okay, but I really hate that, but
Correct.
I'll do that, even if that's a majority of the role. And that's a fast track to burnout, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, especially if you don't know that, or if you disguise yourself, right? No, 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 it's not that bad. Sometimes it is, right? So, And then
Yeah.
if you still want to do it, at least you do it with the eyes really, saying, okay, I know, right? I will suffer. This is not the kind of job that I will love, but I need to do because my ambition is to go there. And that's one of the prerequisites. It's like, a subject that you have in your university or your master's that you hate, right? But you need to do it. Otherwise, you don't get the master. You do it. But you do it understanding what is going to get out of it. You see, so I think that's
right.
the point. The other thing that also helps me when you're talking about the things that you talk to yourself, I am doing a lot of meditation, Sean, and that helps a lot, right?
So
The
powerful.
meditation, the understanding, and also sometimes even a bit of what we call hypnosis, right? That ask your subconscious to say things to you that are nicer, be nicer to you, be kinder to yourself. In many cases, this week I was talking to one of my team members that was really, in a difficult moment. And I said, be kinder to yourself, right? So be kinder to yourself. You are kind to so many people. Why we're not so kind to ourselves? I think that's something that I think
That's
we
so
can be
beautiful.
better. Yeah, we can be better. Yeah.
When we give ourselves the love that we need,
Yeah.
we start to think more positively and have more
More
energy and
positive.
then create better results
Exactly.
for ourselves and everybody else around
Exactly.
us. It really is
Exactly.
magic. I've always
Yeah.
been a big
You can
believer in
embrace the
karma.
positive.
And
Yeah. Right.
yeah, I think too, karma is often described as something that happens in what you give to others or what you send out into the world. But I think it also is a reflection and an amplification of what we send to ourselves inside our
Yeah.
own mind. And when we're hard on ourselves unfairly or we talk with, sometimes I'm fortunate enough to have gotten past a majority of it, but I don't know anyone that's completely oblivious to it. But the sort of way some people talk to themselves is absolutely unfair, right?
Yeah.
And
Too
when
tough on
people have that
ourselves, huh?
awareness of just
Yeah.
so being too
Yeah.
too hard on ourselves, in a sense, it comes back and around and it manifests itself. It really does. I am so grateful, Heliana, to have this conversation. I'm hoping that you might have a few thoughts for emerging leaders, for leaders that, aspiring leaders, that
I do.
has helped you and helped others, that you would want them to remember 6 weeks after watching this.
Very good. So you didn't prompt with that question, but I have certain things based on what we said. The first thing is, don't try to be the super powerful woman, right? The perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect professional, the perfect whatever you think, right? Because
Yeah,
this is super heavy. And we don't need to be that perfect
it
to be
sure is.
lovely. We don't need to be like. So it's one of the things that sometimes trying to do all of this together really can hurt ourselves. And I have seen many trying to. And I said, wait a minute, but why are you doing that? Sometimes even nobody expects that. You are expecting that to yourself. So that's the moment where I said, be kind to yourself, right? Nobody's expecting all of this.
Yeah.
You are also expecting. Well, there are some cases where the society expects and everything else, and then you need to find a balance, talk to whoever you need, get to. There are things that actually external we need to do. But there is a lot which is ourselves saying, I need to be this, I need to be perfect this, perfect that. We don't, right? We can be kind. The other second thing that I think it's important is be yourself, right? So I think in a point in time, I was talking to that with a colleague. When I was in engineering, right, there were not many women. Even later, when I was in the office and everything else, in a point in time, I started even dressing a bit more like like a male or like a man or something, because you lose a bit your femininity, because you need to adjust yourself to a certain. You don't need to adjust to anything, right? You can do whatever you want. And don't be apologetic for whatever you want to be. Be yourself,
Be
right?
yourself.
Don't be yourself. If you want to be super feminine, you are. If you don't do. Be yourself, right? Allow yourself to be whatever you want. That makes you feel good, because otherwise we're also always, almost like yeah, it's a bit of a challenging thing, right? To try to pretend or try to be always something that actually you would not like to be. So I think if the people remember these two things would be good. The third and last, I heard once one thing which I think it's super cool. You know the singer Cher. You know Cher.
Yes.
The singer.
Yeah.
So I was listening to an interview, and the gentleman said to her, "So how did you deal with all the gossip and everything being told about you and all this noise?" And she said, "My mother told me that if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter. And if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter." This is something that I use a lot for my mentorees, because especially we women, we try to be more anxious. We try to take everything maybe stronger than it is to be. It's not. Put in perspective things. If it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter. Keep going. Keep moving. Next.
So
So
powerful,
these are my three
right?
things, girls.
I love that. Another way that I've heard that is ask your 10-year-old self, ask your 80-year-old self.
Correct.
Does this matter?
This thing. Right?
And it's so liberating to remember that one email from that other person in another department demanding something now. Their poor planning is not your emergency. And as long as you're respectful in the way that you handle it, it'll sort itself out.
Exactly. Yeah, or evaluation or something, because if not, I think the anxiety of trying to be the perfect, trying to do just everything, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter. Right? So don't try to be perfect, be yourself. And if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter. Move on.
Absolutely. This idea of not letting the perfect stand in the way of the good. And good, not mediocre, but don't let the good stand in the way of the perfect is a great measure. And the way that we leave people feeling through life often is a significant separation between good and mediocre. So I love the advice, the thought, the mentorship, and I know that there are people that will watch this and help unlock their potential and help them move past something that's standing in their way today. Heliana, I'm so grateful for your time, for your wisdom, and I want to thank everybody for watching. And this has been another edition of The Never Ending Climb for a Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.